right, guys, here we go. He is finally on the podcast. My boyfriend, John. We want to dive deep into some of the most common questions I get from my clients, from you guys in the comments, around our relationship and the process of manifesting it, and like everything from his perspective, right? Because you get to hear on my stories, you get to hear from my viewpoint, what was going on with me, what I had to shift, what I had to adjust to myself, but you don't really get it from the other side, his perspective, what was going on with him while I was making adjustments in myself, and just how the whole thing kind of came together. So I guess we'll kind of dive into a little bit of the whole beginning, how we met, just to give people a good baseline of how everything started. We met in July of 2020. Kind of, not really.
We didn't even meet.
Yeah, we didn't even technically meet.
We walked past each other a lot of times.
Yeah, so 2020 was obviously the year of COVID, and in New Jersey, down the shore in Wildwood, if you're familiar, nobody really cared. Really. We wore our masks and all when we went to the store, but like the restaurant business owners were really pushing the boundaries. And there was a bar restaurant type of place right down the street from my family's vacation home that was staying open. And like when I say staying open, I mean staying open to like club hours, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Yeah, 3 o'clock we would close.
Yeah, and so of course we were spending a lot of time there. I mean, multiple times a week. It was kind of ridiculous looking back, but we didn't really have that much else to do
during that time.
Yeah, and a lot of the other places would close. This place specifically was kind of pushing it. And John was working there. I was about, I don't know, a few months out of a previous relationship. Obviously did not have my business yet. Kind of just like restarting in life at this point, honestly, just getting my feet back on the ground. And, definitely 2020 was actually one of my favorite summers ever.
It was a good summer.
It was a really, really good summer. I mean, probably not for everybody, but for us, definitely.
Well, I worked very hard in the summer, and I was drained. It was a good summer, but I was happy it was over after working a lot of hours.
Yeah, you were always there. So I would go to this bar a lot, so we would see each other a lot. I would visit with my family or my friends, and I would always be like, oh my God, like he's so cute. I definitely knew he was younger than me, but I thought he was older than he was. So I had made like some good friends with the bartenders, and I remember asking one of them, like, oh, how old is he? And he said 20, and I was 24 at the time, and I was like, ooh, that's a little stretch, but okay, like whatever. We didn't really talk in person from that point. Yeah, we hadn't really talked like in person at all. But I think some of the bartenders like mentioned my interest.
Only one, but that was the end of the summer.
Yeah, well, that's when I asked. I hadn't said anything before that.
Yeah, exactly. So his name was Kevin. He was a fun bartender.
Thanks. Such an important detail.
Oh, of course. Names are important, in my opinion. In my story. Like, hey, you should go up to her and like talk to her. I was like, she's definitely older. And in the back of my head, I knew I was younger and underage, so I wasn't trying to talk to anyone at the bar. I was flirting with, people or whatever, but obviously I wasn't like talking to people. I wasn't trying to look for anything or go out and do anything. It's because I know I was underage, and when you meet people at the bar, they're of age, and then they're going to want to go out with you to a bar or club. So I was like, that's going to be stupid putting myself in that situation where I do make the first move or try to talk to someone, and then they're like, all right, let's go meet up at the club or bar. And I'm like, yeah, I'm making a bunch of fucking excuses because I'm not even of age yet, and I still have 3 more years before I even, 2 more years. 2 more years before I'm even 21, so I was like, yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, I guess it was like that one day where I think the summer was over, and the day I was done working.
And you came to visit?
And I came to visit on the weekend, grab a drink, because I know. Yeah. I didn't grab a drink. I was just actually visiting.
You didn't hear any of that.
I didn't. I popped up, was enjoying myself, visiting some coworkers, seeing how everything was going, and then I was there briefly though. I wasn't there long. Yeah.
It was like Irish weekend, I feel like, or like the week before, week after, or something like that.
I was definitely in school then, for sure. And so we were just huddled behind the bar. Behind the bar, there's like a bunch of pool tables, and then there was like long tables, high top tables. We were all huddled behind the bar at the high top table. It was bartenders, it was the doorman, because we had like Secret Service, because we had to make sure everyone
It's crazy.
I mean, they were a third party SWAT team. No. Not SWAT team, but security guards, third-party security guards that the owner hired so that everything was safe and sound, because it got hostile during COVID, and
that's true.
Some people that didn't behave themselves when they had consumed too much alcohol or whatever they were on. But anyway, we were hanging out the table, and Kevin told me, he was like, "Oh, you should go up there." I was like, "Oh, no, that's all right. I'll talk to her eventually, or I'll say something, maybe." And then she walked by to go to the bathroom, and I was thinking about going to say something.
Oh, I remember that.
I was turning. I was gonna say something, and then she kept walking because she didn't know I was turning, and then she kept going to the bathroom.
Oh, that's embarrassing on your part.
And so then I was like, shit. And they were looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I was like,
You're like,
Nah, I was like, it wasn't meant to be. She didn't stop there, so
she didn't stop there. Like, I was just supposed to.
So, pretty much after that night, I was like, fuck it. And then, I think I was, walking out for, the end of the night, and I, looked briefly, gave her a nice glance. And then that was it until I get an Instagram follow, weeks later. What was it, a week later, a couple days later?
Something like that. I found you on Instagram.
She found me on IG, because you can't miss this face. IG famous for my 800 followers I had. No, actually, I had 1,000. I was over 1,000. I was probably at 1,200 followers.
Yeah, your little neon fits. I was like...
Oh, yeah. I didn't have the best wardrobe back in the day. It was very trendy.
It's okay, and your face helped.
Yeah, my face was there. It was good enough, right? But obviously, that was that. The summer's over, and then she followed me, and then I was like, "Oh shit, this is it. I gotta follow."
This is it.
And I was like, "This is easier. I'm behind the screen. I don't have to talk in person." I was like, "I'll just DM her." And so I DM'd her. And you tell people all the time when I said something like, "Oh, look who it is," because just something flirty, but not flirty. Something to engage you without saying some basic shit like, "Hey, what's up? Mm-hmm. How's it going?" So I was like,
I think it was the perfect thing to say, because it was even though we never talked, I definitely acknowledged you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I felt the presence. I was like, "Oh, look who it is," because obviously it was the whole summer.
Yeah.
Every weekend, probably 2 or 3 days a week, we passed each other. You would come in, you would play pool, you'd suck at pool really bad, you would buy your drinks.
He didn't get to see me play.
White
I was
claws.
pretty good at
What
pool.
do you mean? I worked. Every time I walked by with buckets of ice, I would watch and you kind of suck.
Meanwhile, I beat him many times in pool.
My record over you in pool is about 500 to
probably,
100.
but I beat you a lot.
Okay, you beat me a good amount of times, but nothing compared to what I've done to you. So yeah, that was the start of it, and then ever since the DM, on a date. After a while, to pick her up, not even a date. It was more
Couldn't go to the bar, of course.
Yeah, so I drove in my hoopty.
Oh, hold on. Because this part was left out. I'm thinking he's 20. He tells me he's 19. And I'm like,
Then it
20 was already pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Then you said 19, and it's like the word teen is in there. You know what I mean? I'm 24.
I was turning 20 in 6 months.
Yeah, but I was turning 25 in 4 months. So
yeah,
I was like, ooh. So he kind of had to push a little bit for us to hang out, because I was a little bit overthinking it. The age part
Yeah.
was definitely in like my way of moving things further at first.
It wasn't like big of a deal.
Yeah, because it's what you wanted anyways. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned before.
Yeah,
Which for me,
always-
like I never saw myself being with someone younger. It was either gonna be like the same age or older.
I was always trying to get with my sister's friends because they were older. And
Older,
I thought
yeah.
that was cool.
Exactly.
So I might pick you up in my hoopty. I took us to like Chick-fil-A. I guess we were talking, but like I still thought it was like
Yeah, well, you were awkward.
I was awkward for sure. I was, driving.
I'm really good under pressure, so I felt like
I think you were asking a lot of questions. I was asking questions. I wasn't being like boring or shy.
no.
But it was just like, okay, we're done talking about that. What's next? What are we talking about?
Yeah, like you definitely got to put in a little conscious effort when you meet somebody for the first, because it's like I was like internally screaming when you picked me up the first time, because it's just like, that anxiety of a first date. It's like you're meeting someone new, you don't know what to talk about. You're like just thinking through the whole situation, what's gonna happen. There's a lot of things to think about. So for me, my like automatic thing is just to start asking questions to make it seem like I'm not as nervous as you are, even though I was probably worse.
Yeah, that's true. Vibe you off. And then, I don't know when the next time we hung out was.
Me either. Really, for me, the next thing I remember is we were hanging out like multiple days in a row. But I don't know. I don't remember like how long it was till then.
I think it was a couple months.
Yeah, maybe like 2 months in at that point.
It was like
before I came over
November.
for the first time. Yeah. Spending like a lot of time together. And then I kind of assumed like, okay, we're spending a lot of time together. This seems to be like moving into something serious. I think I brought it up first. And then you were like, yeah, not really.
Well, yeah, like I said, you said you got out of the relationship, I got out of the relationship.
Yeah, we did. We both did.
Freshman year of college, off and on, even like senior year of high school. So, an off and on relationship, and I wasn't ready to move forward to anything serious. So I took my good old ass time, waited, felt out I didn't even feel any waters, to be honest. Like, I would message people here and there, but there wasn't anything serious.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when I talk to people about, their situations, and they're like, oh, well, like, my person's, getting with people around the world and all over the place. Like, to me personally, that would have been like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a turn off to me. I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship if somebody's doing that. Like, you can't control somebody to not go and date other people and, test out their options and
dating. It was just
hooking up, whatever it is. Like, you can't. But to me, that's just like, to me, it's unattractive. Yeah. So I think like if that had been the case, because I definitely brought it up before, there were ever intimacy, because I would never throw myself in a situation like that. I think it would have been like, okay, not a good time right now. I think like that initial rejection was kind of shocking, because I think I was expecting like or assuming something different for the time. And then that was really like,
get me because I was young and I was
no, that's
thirsty.
not what I was thinking at all. I just thought that I just thought we had like obviously if you're spending every day with somebody, you're definitely thinking it's moving into something serious. I think that's pretty normal to think.
Yeah.
A little surprised. And not even necessarily at your response, but at the way that I felt about it. Because I thought that I was a lot more unbothered or secure, just like wouldn't be so bothered about it, which like really sent me into my, I guess, initiation of the work that I do now, and like the work I had to do on myself and some of the things that it woke up within me, and how there was still a ties of safety and dependence and feelings of validation that would only come up dependent on if somebody was choosing me in the moment or not. And that really was like that wake up call. Maybe a month or so later, where I first started diving into this work, that I realized that. And then we were never in like a real no contact period. I know people ask me that all the time, but it was more so just like sparse messages, like sparse it wasn't like very consistent. We spent a lot of time together, and then I feel like it fizzled out for a couple months. Like it was
Really?
definitely less frequent hangouts. I know you say you don't like remember all those little details, but this is the way my brain works.
Yeah. Sure.
And I've had to tell the story so many fucking times. Of course, I know all the little details. But it was in those like sparse moments where a lot of my work began, because like that gap of time we wouldn't spend together is when a lot of that trigger would come out, or I would be making up stories about how it's not working, or go into obsessively affirming over shit. So I think like looking back, I'm really grateful that things sparsed out so that I could really like assess myself and do the work that I've done. But I think a lot of people will want to know if you could like feel adjustments energetically in our relationship as I was doing this work, and like especially towards about a year later when we were officially together.
Yeah. I think we talked about this on the live before.
Yeah, really, people ask this all the time.
I really wasn't conscious or like aware.
People think is like that it's unnatural for the other person, or like they feel nice babe, they feel like crazy or manipulated or something like that, but you've said how natural, and like it wasn't even something you were thinking about.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like fizzling out. I think it was just like space, just like because I was probably busy with work or school, and both.
April and March were big like initiation phases for me, like around my birthday for sure. Was that when I feel like I really started to learn about this work, and then like a little while down realized how I was doing the work still from a very like urgent and anxious place that a lot of people get trapped in, with like doing these crazy affirmation rituals and sleeping with somebody's name under their pillow. And I was like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous, you know what I mean? And the work very much became solely focused on me, and like where I was still, like I was mentioning a little bit earlier, where I was still like tied to these unhealthy perspectives in receiving the relationship I wanted, and really adjusting myself to receive it from a healthy, grounded place, where it was like I didn't need this specific person anymore. I desired a relationship because we had a really great time together, and like another big one, like we had the shared values, very similar goals. Like obviously you were working towards those goals. It wasn't like some deadbeat sitting on the couch playing video games. No. I always say like
at nighttime sometimes, but not.
I mean, same. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll see people wanting to manifest these relationships where their like values are not even close to being the same, and it's just like I want this person just to be able to say that I did it. That was also like I feel like I already had a standard there with when it comes to that. Once I really started getting grounded into the flow of the work and like really taking a good look at myself is when I feel like every month people like to call it movement, would kind of like speed up a little bit. I guess maybe around that time when you started, I feel like definitely like initiating, spending more time together. I remember you went to Vegas with your brother as well, maybe like not long after Florida.
Oh yeah, that was June.
Yeah,
right?
June maybe, June, July. And you were like on FaceTime with me walking down the strip, and I was like, oh well, this is different.
Yeah. More.
Yeah.
I would say. But I think it was just more so me just trying to feel out if,
Yeah, from your perspective, this is what it looked like.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was like natural. Like it wasn't like I didn't feel any type of way. It was because like we weren't like together. There wasn't a label on us, and so I think it was just like see where it goes, feel it out, see if it makes sense, maybe revisit it and see if it would actually work out. But that's kind of what I was feeling. I wasn't like, damn, she's not talking to me. You know what I mean? I don't think. Like, I didn't feel like I was being rejected or anything. Figure out my stuff because I was in school.
Yeah, I feel like we were both kind of doing that.
Like, didn't want to be in college anymore, so I was more focused on that and just like trying to figure out my next chapter in life, where I wanted to go or what I wanted to be. So I wasn't like looking for a relationship. I wasn't like focused on that. I wanted to figure out my life, and then that was like the next step where we started talking again more. I quit school, obviously, and then I think I ran it by you too. Or like I was like,
you definitely did.
I'm gonna stop going to school. It's not working out for me. I'm always late.
Yeah.
I failed a semester.
I think I had dropped out of school at this point too.
Yeah, I failed, not a semester, but I failed a course in a semester like freshman year. Then I failed again. I was like about to fail another course sophomore year, the second semester. And I was just like, damn, it sucks ass. And I didn't want to fail. But I knew it wasn't for me, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was just time to
Me and you both.
Time to go and do something else, and that's when I started getting my license for real estate. Because I always wanted to do real estate. I think like even before school, I was thinking real estate, and I was like, I'll do accounting so I can do the accounting side of the real estate, or be a financial planner for people, blah blah blah.
Not the end of like us talking, but like that period where I always talk about on like my TikTok videos when you would start wanting to like call a lot more consistently, or when you would invite me over because your mom had pizza and you're like, oh, this is the perfect excuse
to
get her to come over.
Of course.
Do you feel like you were thinking about it a lot more? Like, what did it feel like for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was obviously more interested and was more connected to it, and I wanted to entertain a relationship. So the more I hung out with you, I think it was also good, seeing someone not in my house and having another person to talk to and be able to be myself with and be vulnerable with, so that I could, grow in myself as well.
Do you feel like you were always able to be yourself inside of our dynamic, like before we were together, or do you feel like that was more the case like later on? Because I feel like, I'll tell you my personal perspective.
I think I was myself.
Yeah.
I was myself for sure the whole time. It was more so like letting all of it go. Like opening up fully.
Exactly.
Like being 100% committed.
Yeah.
So I would have like one arm open and one arm closed.
Yeah, and I could definitely like feel that. But internally, like, and emotionally, I was that way. So it was interesting how it like reflected through that. And what I often talk about in like my content is the day I came over to your house and it just seemed like all that was gone. Like all those walls that you maybe still had up were gone. But that was also the time where like it wasn't something I was thinking about all the time anymore. It was very much just like an enjoyable thing for me to spend time with you, and there were no needs for things to go anywhere else, but it was almost like I knew it would at the same time, like this duality. So it was interesting how it reflected through you in that way.
Yeah, probably that day or that week I was like, let's do it full send, feel out the relationship,
I think
go from there.
A lot of people would love to know, because you don't always know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
To maybe like people like to call birds before land, which is like things that happen in order for things to kind of come together in the way that you want. So were there things, like I know there are, but you can tell them, are there some things that happen, conversations you've had with other people that really like helped you get to that point?
It's funny how you said conversations with other people to get to that point, because obviously I had a conversation with my boys. My close friends, I would talk to them about you and kind of like, feeling up if I should, date you and make it more committed and serious. And so obviously I had that conversation first with them, and it was like playing it by ear and getting their thoughts, and they were said go for it or feel it out, and so I did, even though I was like already knew the answer, but I needed reassurance or someone else to say, stop being a little boy and just go with it. So it made it work out, and it was a good thing I did, because I want to be here.
Do you think that if I was still operating as this person who was like obsessive and overperforming, I would say, energetically, internally, do you think that we would be here right now? Like if that never ended for me?
Probably not. You know, because I don't want something, or I didn't want anything like overbearing and someone throwing themselves at me, even though all the guys say that they like that and they want someone to like be crazy about you, but then there's obviously a fine line where it's too much and
I agree.
you don't like, you want your space and you're like, all right, you're desperate or you're crazy, and so
yeah, you can feel it. Like they don't even
yeah.
have to say anything. It's just a
It's
felt
like,
experience.
It feels forced as well.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? You feel discomfort.
Yeah, I always like to say like you're acting like a fangirl.
Yeah. And I wasn't a celebrity, so at the time I would probably thought, you know, this person's crazy. But yeah, I don't think so.
What's your take on the idea that women can manifest commitment, not by changing the guy, obviously, but making adjustments internally?
Yeah, I think anything's possible. I think if you just focus on yourself and you tweak the things that need to be checked and not so like overly just like be over aware of something where it's like too much, or you're trying too hard, micromanaging, you're trying too hard to fix something that is not necessarily not fixable. You're just let it be and be comfortable and be yourself, because you try to be someone that you're not.
Yeah.
So
Called performing.
yeah.
And it's felt. It's not, you might think it's working, but it's a very felt experience, not just in your relationships, but friends,
Yeah, for
family, everybody. What did you think when you found out I manifested you? Because obviously you didn't know.
I didn't think anything of it. Remember? Like, we talked about this on the live, and I was like, I didn't feel anything of it, but like, then looking back to it, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, you know
I think a lot of people
aware.
fear that like the person's gonna think they're crazy and fucking write up like a restraint order.
Yeah, like I wasn't like scared. I was like, cool, that's cool. What else can you manifest for me?
You were like, I want to learn, which I definitely feel, which we can talk about too. But like, do you think that the way that I've made internal adjustments and like the way I've grown my life has influenced or inspired you in any ways in the way that you went about yours?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I saw, you start up this business from like nothing, and like from the background of you just talking about it, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna start doing this or coaching, and seeing it there from like the start to seeing it now, even like last year, it doesn't have to be now, but like from when you started and building the business to like say last year, I was like, wow, you're doing that? What'd you make? Or like, I was shocked and I was excited. A lot of emotions were going through my mind. I was like, wow, like I gotta level up myself. You know what I mean? That's crazy how she did that. And I was, proud obviously, and excited to where you can be and where you can grow it to. So yeah, I was definitely excited, and then I know I had to look at myself and was like, all right, time to upgrade myself and level up myself and my business, so that not even like performing or like trying to beat you, but like just being that person as well.
Yeah.
Like just showing up.
Hashtag power couple.
Yeah, power couple. You were showing up, you were doing your thing every day, you were posting, and for me it was like I wanted to show up every day and post for my real estate business, and going through the loops and circles of not being or not doing what I had to do, and I was like, I'm slacking. Oh gosh, I'm a bum or a loser, and I was like, I need to get something going. So yeah, I looked up to you for sure.
Was there a specific experience or time we had together where you were like, yeah, I really want this to be more than friendship or whatever the heck we were?
Probably. I probably knew by like month 6, but I was just didn't want to ask, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But like
when all your family was like,
yeah, in the
I
summer,
know you
that's
guys
probably,
are together.
that's really what it was. It was
over the Wildwood summer.
over Wildwood summer
the
again.
following
for
summer
following
after we
summer after we met.
Yeah.
Probably June, July is when I was like, okay. Like, you know, I would get attention from other women in the bar, and I was like, eh. Then I would like think about you, and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't be like, you know, they shouldn't be talking to me, or like, be polite, be nice. Well, thank you for the compliment, you know. But then I think about you, like, oh yeah, kind of, I don't know.
Mm. Was there like any sense of shared values or goals that also like helped you to be like, this is somebody I see a life with?
Yeah, I think the shared values and goals comes down to we have a very high passion for exotic cars and designer things. Like, I'm big into like watches, which she's not a watch person, but she likes jewelry. I love cars, and she's a car girl. She likes Lambos, but I like Ferraris, and I was like, oh, that's badass. Like, seeing a, you know, power couple, and like seeing that stuff on like Instagram of like you pulling up with your car, and then your lady pulling up with her own car.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I bought it, it's still her own car, you know. And just like coming out of like kind of like a scene of the movie, or like a scene.
That's
of
how
it,
I
like,
always think of it, like real slow walking,
like slow walking, pimped out, like in a suit,
all in black,
all in black,
sunglasses, trench coat.
Yep, exactly. Just like a straight vibe, you know, it's just like really cool. And so obviously that helped, because obviously I want to share the things I like want, and my passions with my person, that I want them to have the same passions and desires in life. So I think that's kind of why, you know, I felt more of a connection. And traveling, you know, you want to travel, and you're always quick to like do something, and you act on a whim. So that's fun and exciting. It brings like new life and energy to things. Like, oh sure, you want to do this right now? Let's drive to 3 hours away and
we used
go get a hotel.
We used to, like, when we first started talking, and I used to do this with my friends too, and I don't know why I don't do it anymore, but we would get in the car and just like drive from Philly down the shore, which was like an hour and a half, and just like walk the bare boardwalk. I remember it was like pouring rain the one night.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was fun though, like thinking about it.
Yeah, that was cute. That was a cool time.
That was like our first, not our first date, but
no,
third, fourth, something around there.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Do I have any questions for you? Are you
a good witch, or are you a bad witch?
Are you a good witch? That's exactly what I was thinking. Are you looking to help? Are you interested in doing stand-up and talking in front of people?
That's your question? I think at some point, yeah. It's definitely not my main priority right now. I think my main priority right now is just scaling the business and getting more visible to people, and you know, helping as many people, especially women, as possible. Like, I definitely work with men come into my field quite a bit, but obviously the majority of my work is women. So,
and being, I will say, it's not a question but just a statement, being like beside her, learning the work that she's doing and listening and pretty much understanding of what's going on and how she does it. It follows me, and I don't even practice this, and then I hear other people's relationships, and then I find myself being a coach. I don't know, it's like, it doesn't, like, you know, because for me as a real estate agent, I eavesdrop and I listen, and as soon as I hear...
Well, you have to build, like, relationships with people.
Yeah.
So you, like, know everything about them.
And so as soon as not even that, as soon as I hear keywords, like when you're at the bar or restaurant, you hear interest or real estate or house or everything, you're like, you hear it. Like I could be down the hall and hear it from the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so now when I hear about relationships, I always want to put my 2 senses in, but I have to breathe and take a step back so that you can help them. Or in that regards, it's like I don't want to over push my boundaries or step and give my input to everyone, you know. But I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Was there any signs
Mm-hmm.
for you when you felt that I was going to make the move and ask you to be my girlfriend or to make it serious and be committed? Anything?
Signs
That you felt like it was going to happen?
I think there's no like external signs at all. Like I really don't. It's not that I don't believe in signs.
Or like song that you hear, or
but
like
like yeah, like
butterfly?
I think you could connect signs to anything.
Mm-hmm.
The real sign to me is always internal. And I always know when things are really about to pop off, when it's like, I don't want to say that I don't care anymore, but it just doesn't feel like, you know, this crazy, ridiculous fantasy where it's like up on a pedestal. You can't function without thinking about it. You can't hang out with friends without, you know, jumping in the car with you if you're about to pick me up or something. You know what I mean? Just like this very calm, still thing where it's just like, yeah, if it does, it does. Most likely it will. Like you're mostly leaning on that side of things, but you're just like calm, chill, quiet. Like I would just say back to normal life. Like you're not hyper fixated, I would say, anymore, which is something I've had to work through my whole life, being on like, you know, a little bit of the neurodivergent scale. But for me, things seem to always pop off from those places. So I'd say the signs were internal, not external.
Yeah.
So basically the day that we like became official, we went on a little like weekend vacation.
Oh yeah, we went to a place called Atlantic City.
Yeah. If you're familiar, if you live in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, you know what Atlantic City is.
Yeah. It's just like staycation, the getaway.
Yeah.
And have
We would
our
do it
privacy
pretty
and,
frequently.
You know, yeah, we would do it, every other couple months?
Yeah,
Until you
every
couldn't
other
get
month,
your
honestly.
points anymore?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I forget.
What was that relationship game? That like make it more intimate?
I think it was called something deep. Let's get deep.
Let's get deep?
Let's get deep.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a purple box.
No, it was black, I thought.
I don't know.
Maybe
no,
it was
it's purple.
Was it
It's
purple?
purple, like dark purple. I had a little bit of an idea of what questions were in there, but we were drinking wine. Honestly, I forgot.
Wine.
Well, you know what wine does to me.
And then I got room service of chicken tenders, which were disgusting. Oh
And we
my
spent
God.
like $75 on chicken fingers and a slice of cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, that food was terrible. Don't recommend.
Cheesecake was
Hard
good. Yeah.
Rock?
Or
Was it
Tropicana. I don't even. Yeah, it was a Tropicana.
No, was it?
Where was it? It wasn't the Hard Rock. We had stayed there before. It was the
know.
Tropicana.
I don't remember.
Pretty sure.
I don't think so. It might be because that food was horrible.
Or Bally's? I don't know. But yeah, terrible chicken tenders.
I was so disappointed. I was starving too, and nothing's open after a certain hour. And it's also not safe in Atlantic City.
No, not to like leave the resorts really.
Yeah, just stay in a resort.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I definitely had a glass or so of wine, and then we played.
The card game.
Yeah.
And then we went a couple rounds, and of course I get the damn card where it was like.
When you got that card, I was like, oh shit.
I was like, I was like, is there anything that you haven't asked? Was there anything you haven't asked her?
Yeah, or like,
something like that.
What was it?
Right?
Is there anything you've
You
been
wanted
wanting me
tell
to
her?
ask you or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I got that, and I was like, damn. Well, I guess it's go big or go home.
Yeah.
And obviously, I was like, I did it, and then she's like, oh, I don't believe you.
I didn't say that.
No, I thought you didn't, like, because it was the game, and you're like, really? Like, is it?
Did I?
I thought so.
I don't remember.
And then I was like, no, I'm serious. I thought so, but I could be making shit up.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
It was a while ago. It was official, and then everyone was like,
I remember we woke up the next day and he was like, so what do you think? How do you feel now that it's like, I was like nothing. Like, it didn't feel any different.
Yeah, no, it's because we went on for a year.
Yeah.
Of just talking, which I feel like you have to. I mean, I don't know. It's just
my opinion, like, I want to really get to know somebody before I make things.
Exactly.
A year is extensive.
I don't think so. I mean, that's when everything like.
I mean,
unfolds.
It depends per person, and like some people really genuinely are friends first, which is obviously was us. But like for us, we were doing relationship things most of that year. So it's like if that's the case and it's a year, that's a long time.
It was like what 6 months of friendship, maybe 3 to 4 months of just like talking and getting to know each other, and then after that, it was more personable and relationship stuff.
Yeah.
I could have asked 8 months in.
It actually was 8 months. Well, entirely it was a year, but I always say 8 months because it was like 8 months from when I really started to dig into the work.
That's when she knew it was happening, but she didn't tell me.
What did you want me to text you and be like, hey, I'm manifesting you?
Hey, I just casted a spell.
Yeah.
Let me know how you feel in 24 hours.
Could you imagine?
I would be pretty scared. If you said that, I would have been scared.
I would have been scared at myself. I mean, honestly, in the beginning, it felt like that. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right? Yeah, when you asked, like, oh, I didn't feel any way. It wasn't like I didn't feel possessed.
Well, I hope you didn't feel possessed.
Like that,
but I think that's people's concern a lot of the times is like...
Yeah, it's not even like a spell, obviously. It's more so like belief. Mm-hmm. You're confident in yourself and you have belief that this is something that's going to happen. And that's what, in anything in life, if you have belief and you're confident in what you're capable of doing, then you can do anything and anything's possible. So that's what I think it comes down to.
To end, do you want to give them a little brief rundown of what you do? And
Sure, yeah. If you don't know, I am in the real estate business. I am a realtor. I work solely out of Central Florida in the Orlando location. I work for a company called EXP Realty. It's a big-time brokerage. And if you need any real estate needs or if you have any real estate questions, even if you're not looking to buy or sell in Florida, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. I'm very knowledgeable and I have experience. I've been doing real estate for 3 years now. So don't be afraid to ask. You can ask Dina here for my Instagram and message me on my business profile and ask away. I'll be happy to answer any questions, or if you're afraid because of the market or interest or whatever you're feeling, do not wait and don't hesitate to invest in yourself and invest in your long-term growth and wealth with real estate, because 90% of the business people out there and the ultra wealthy are investing in real estate, and they have a portfolio of a lot of properties, or they invested and fixed and flipped, etc. There's many ways that you can get into the real estate business. So obviously, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions and point you in the right direction.
And we'll be doing a part 2 soon, where we're going to dive deeper into a little bit of stuff where we're already inside the relationship, adjustments I've made within myself in the relationship in regards to my new program, Maintenance Mode, and how,
So cool.
and how some of those things have manifested through you and through our relationship. But yeah, thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you.